All right, good afternoon and welcome to our ESPN Plus coverage of our press conference here from the Murray Room at the CFSB Center at Murray State University. We've got several of our media that's assembled here today, and what we wanted to do following our community celebration that we just had a chance to enjoy out in the main arena, we thought we'd come in to a more intimate area and have Eric and Jeff, Dr. Jackson, and Kevin take a few questions from our media. Once we're done with this press conference portion of this part of the day, we do have some breakout time for the members of the media for one-on-one, so we want you to participate in that as well. And then once we get to the breakout portion, we do have head coach Dean Hood from Murray State football is here, head coach Matt McMahon for Murray State men's basketball, and head coach Rochelle Turner from our women's basketball team, and you'll be able to quiz them about the big day here at Murray State as we join the Missouri Valley Conference. So we're going to get right to it here and go ahead and open up for questions for any of the four here. And John, let's start with you. You're the leadoff hitter.
Well, no pressure there. Question for President Jackson.
Yes, sir.
I'm not really privy. I haven't been very familiar with what happened a few years ago when Missouri Valley and Murray State had relations. What was different this time that put Murray State into the NBC?
Of course, I don't know the details from last time, but what I do know about this time is a different commissioner. Murray State University was extremely engaged in the process. We stayed engaged in the process, and the Missouri Valley Conference stayed engaged in the process, and a lot of hard work by many people went into this to make it happen. So I'm not sure the details of the past, John, to be very honest. I know there was some probably very preliminary discussions only at that time, very different than this time.
Who would like the next question here?
Thanks. So, Mr. Jackson, for you, obviously, monumental day. How would you try to put this day into words, knowing that this, elite program now joins a nice series of schools, as you kind of mentioned up there, that go throughout a long list of our area? I mean, what does this mean to you, and what does this really mean to the conference?
So I just want to get it clear. Am I going to be Mr. Jackson and he's Dr. Jackson? Because I want to make sure the right person's asking the question.
And we're going to have to differentiate that.
Yeah. For us, and again, as I mentioned earlier, I have the really good fortune to represent an extremely strong President's Council, and I think we're looking at every opportunity to enhance our conference, to give our student athletes the best possible experience. When you look at what Murray State has been able to accomplish, especially in the sport of basketball, I don't think there's any question that they are a great fit for our conference. And I think, as Bob mentioned earlier, when we started having conversations and starting seeing that there was some traction, I don't think it was a coincidence that it was a unanimous vote on the part of our council to extend this invitation, because we know that we're dealing with a partner who sees things the same way that we do, values their student athletes in the same way that we do, and has that passion for success in the same way that the conference I represent has.
Next question. Well, guys, before we get to you, Kevin, I'll just pose this to the four of you here. When you go through a process like this and you get to a day like today, is it a big, wow, that was quite a process. Kevin, you can maybe start with how extensive this process was.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we talked about it in the Board of Regents meeting on Friday, how much myself, both personally and professionally, learned about Murray State throughout this process and our 100-year history, and it's certainly been an absolute pleasure to engage with Commissioner Jackson and his staff, the expansion group of presidents throughout that process. It's been an ongoing mutual dialogue, and it's been an absolute pleasure working through all of those details, many of which, Dave, you've been involved in as well, as we quietly did our work the last several months.
Dr. Jackson, your thoughts?
I think the process has made us better. And 3 months from now, we're going to continue to be better. We're going to get better as we go through this process in more detail. And I think that's important. No matter what you do in life, academically or athletically, as I stated earlier, you want to do it in a way where you're getting better. And I think we're doing that at Murray State University, and it's because of the work of a lot of good people here who have invested literally hundreds of hours, Dave, including you and your staff, since, well, many months ago. So that's the key to this. And again, I want to say this to our fans and donors and supporters and our faculty and staff and students, and the students especially. The reason we're here, we are getting better, and I think the years ahead are going to be extremely exciting. I look forward, Jeff, to having a 74-year relationship with the Missouri Valley Conference.
Well, neither of us will be around to figure out if it goes that long, but I'm with you. Yeah.
Jeff, your thoughts about leading the conference through the additions?
You know what? It really has not been a hard process for me because we've had great partners. In a short period of time, we've added 2 institutions that, again, I think will enhance the value of our conference, enhance our student athletes' experiences. I think we will help those conferences take the steps that they're looking for in terms of improving and enhancing their institutions. So certainly there's a lot of work. I know my staff did yeoman duty and the things that they needed to do to get this accomplished, but it's just like anything. If you're doing something that is positive and you know is for all the right reasons, it's not really hard. It may be time consuming, but it's certainly not hard.
And Eric, as a former student athlete here yourself, what does this day mean to you as someone who played football here and was just part of a great program at Murray State?
Well, it's just really a monumental day for Murray State University and Racer Athletics. I mean, at the end of the day, this is one of the moments in time that people will look at. This is, a 74-year relationship previously, and we want to have a good relationship with the new conference going forward, and it's just an exciting time. Again, just commend all the work that Athletic Director Saul and President Jackson did to get the information that the board needed to be able to make an informed decision, and we're just excited as we can be to join a conference with the reputation that the Missouri Valley has.
We'll go here to our next question.
Commissioner, this is for you. It's about the facilities, and we know that that's a big part of anything any institution puts together as far as athletics. The Murray State just came out with a plan to enhance the facilities that they have here. How important is that, or is it important in the selection process or bringing in a team or a school like Murray State?
Extremely, and to be quite frank, they were impressive regardless of what they're doing on top of what they already have. Coming in, I think the thing that stands out is that you recognize that the commitment that they have to the success of their student athletes based on what they've already done on campus. And, I think that syncs up very nicely with what our institutions who we already have in our membership do. So having a chance to get down here to Murray, walk into the CFSB Center, walk around the training room, get to the weight room, get to the practice facility, see all the things that they were doing, it became a very positive conversation when I reported back to our council.
And then, Kevin, maybe you could speak to the planning that started that facility master plan process way back in 2019.
Absolutely. That was a part of the conversation really in February and March of 2019 when I was hired at Murray State, was to put together a comprehensive plan that would align well with the university's housing plan and the overarching university master plan. And so that process started in the summer of 2019, took us about 14 months. As we've talked about, that finished up in the late summer, early fall of 2020, and we held on to that due to COVID, only really starting to release that late summer of 21. So it's been a work in the making, and we're incredibly excited about the elements of that plan and what it'll do from not only a student-athlete development, but a recruiting perspective.
Okay, next question here.
This is kind of one of those nostalgia questions, I guess. What was it like when y'all saw that banner unfurled inside the CFSB Center just now.
We'll start with you, Eric.
Just excited to go on a new era in racer athletics and for Murray State University.
Dr. Jackson, we are all about banners, so how did you feel?
We love banners. Karen and I have been season ticket holders for 35 or 6 years. And so we've seen a lot of banners, but it's a little bit surreal to see the OVC banner removed and the Missouri Valley Conference banner rolled down. And it's exciting. It's exciting, and as well as it's a new era. It's a new era in every sport at this university. So I think it's remembering the old, it's remembering those that came before us, but also it's looking to the future. And that's what we should be doing at all times.
And Kevin, your thoughts on the banner when it dropped?
Oh, I'm just incredibly excited. As we talked about in our comments in the CFSB Center, it's just having recognition and understanding and honoring our past, but also being very excited about our future and the new race that we run now.
Commissioner Jackson, throughout this process, we hear a lot of people talking about market size and how important that is to conferences and expanding their footprint. For a place like Murray, maybe offset that, the fact that this is a smaller town. Is it the fan base? Is it the support? Is it just the overall atmosphere around the program that set it apart from maybe other schools that you were looking at?
Well, the Missouri Valley is a diverse group of schools. Not all our institutions reside in heavily populated metropolitan areas. We have several of our institutions that exist in what I think we would call college towns. And we see some, without question, a positive to that. It creates the type of fan base that you have here at Murray. So we never looked at that as a negative. We saw that as a positive. And, I think also people underestimate the outreach that Murray does have in terms of the different markets that they are able to avail themselves of. So, it really wasn't an issue for us. It was something that I think our council had a great deal of comfort for. I think the thing that will always speak out when we're talking about Murray State is the fact that they have such a fine legacy of success. And, whatever somebody may look at and say, well, what about this or whatever about that, you always go back to the fact that, hey, this is a great athletic department and somebody that you would want to and be very proud of to share your membership with.
One of the thoughts of a new conference, new challenges, Kevin, if you could speak to, over 350 student athletes, the challenge that awaits them once we go into July 1 and after that, and that's with competition, that's with increasing support of our teams, and all those things that are combined in that to be competitive.
Well, our mission at Murray State is to develop young people in programs, and so first and foremost, it's the development of our young people, our 350 student athletes. It's development of them as students first, persons second, players third, and then eventually as professionals, and the professional component is incredibly important to us. We have a unique program called the Racer Road that prepares them for that professionally, and I think affiliation with the Missouri Valley Conference not only allows us to continue that, Dave, I think it allows us to accentuate that. We get to visit new markets, new towns, make new relationships, new networks, new connections, new rivalries, and I think from our student athletes' perspective, understanding that there's always another level competitively, and we're stepping into another level competitively that will put a great sense of urgency on our development as student athletes here in Murray, and also in our recruitment here as well. So all things that are accentuated by this move.
Well, as we kind of wrap it up here in this press conference portion here, Commissioner Jackson, maybe if you could speak to, we haven't seen volleyball yet, we haven't seen soccer or baseball or softball, and just go down the list that we're going to be seeing. Can you speak to just the level of, I've always felt like there's a togetherness in the Missouri Valley that an outsider, for many years I saw that with both the people that worked at schools and then just the competition among your leagues. Can you speak to just the competition amongst all the sports.
Well, I think Kevin spoke to it a little bit earlier when he was going through his statement in the CFSB Center in terms of, yeah, we get multiple bids in the sport of basketball, but we also do in volleyball. We also do in baseball. We're very good in soccer. So it's one of those things where it's not just about the experience that your student athlete's going to have from a basketball perspective. This is a conference in which all of your student athletes, all 350 of your student athletes, are going to feel like they're in an environment in which they have a chance to test their mettle in a different fashion than maybe what they were experiencing. Iron sharpens iron, okay? And I think they're going to find that coming to our conference, they're going to be competing against the very best.
Well, gentlemen, thank you for taking a few moments to sit down in a traditional press conference situation here. We are going to wrap up this part on ESPN Plus here, and we will enter to our parts where we have some breakout time and chance for one-on-one. So thank you, gentlemen, for being here today as Murray State celebrates the day, and so does the Missouri Valley Conference. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.